Hey guys, this is Haley from oneonrabbits.com, and in today's video I'm going to be talking all about safe treats for rabbits. So it has been years since I talked about this, so I thought it was due for an upgrade since a lot has changed in the past, 6 years since I've done a video like this, so let's go ahead and jump into it. So today I'm going to go over all the safe treats that you can feed your bunnies. Bunnies have very delicate digestive systems, and for this reason, even if you feed like an inappropriate treat, it could really upset their GI system, potentially lead them to becoming sick, or costly emergency vet bills. So you definitely want to be careful on what you're feeding your bunnies, so that's what we're going to go over in this video. So the first thing we're going to be going over are the things that you should not be feeding your bunny. So the first thing you want to stay away from is anything processed. So if you guys follow me, you know that I am a big believer on not feeding processed foods to bunnies. There are a lot of reasons for that. Definitely check out my video all about rabbit diets up in the iCard. That might help, cover a little bit of it. But basically, processed foods have the potential to cause more damage than good in rabbits. So rabbits enjoyed unprocessed treats just the same as processed treats. So in my opinion, why would you feed something potentially dangerous and that could cause harm when you can feed something just as enjoyable that is 100% healthy? So why is processed food so bad for bunnies? Basically, rabbits have very, very delicate digestive systems. A rabbit's whole being surrounds around their digestive system continuously moving. If a rabbit's digestive system slows down or stops, the rabbit can die. That's just how rabbits work, how their bodies work. So the reason that processed food can be so harmful and dangerous for bunnies is that processed foods take a lot longer for the gut to digest. And basically, when something takes longer to digest, it's gonna take longer to move through the gut. And because of that, it is going to cause some GI slowdown. Now, some rabbits can eat processed food just fine and they can handle that slower GI, movement. However, there are a lot of rabbits out there who cannot tolerate this. A lot of people don't even realize that their rabbit is being upset by this slowed down GI system. Some symptoms of this can be chronic GI stasis, not even GI stasis, but chronic GI discomfort symptoms such as, not wanting to eat for a couple hours and then suddenly being able to eat again, pressing their stomach to the floor but then not fully going into stasis, showing symptoms of pain and stuff like that. So there are a lot of subtle symptoms that people don't even realize their rabbits are expressing that are from GI slowdown or GI discomfort. And a lot of the times that is from processed foods. A lot of the times it's from pellets, but it can happen with processed treats as well. So in my opinion, I just avoid them, because why feed something potentially harmful and that we know does slow down the GI system when a rabbit's whole being requires the GI system to be moving smoothly? So that's my opinion. That's why I would never feed processed treats, even though people are like, oh, it's just a treat, it's not gonna do that much damage. But a rabbit's GI system is literally how they survive. The other thing with processed treats is, honestly, probably every processed treat out there has some sort of ingredient in it that a rabbit shouldn't really be eating. So again, just another reason not to feed it. The next thing to avoid is nuts, seeds, and legumes. So rabbits should not be eating these things. It's not part of their diet. So legumes can be things like peanuts are legumes, peas, alfalfa. There's other legumes as well. I'm not a legume expert, but rabbits should not be eating legumes, they should not be eating nuts, and they should not be eating seeds. These are not part of their diet. They can have the potential of causing more issues. They're not healthy for them, potentially dangerous, and they're also very high in fat. So overall, just avoid these things. The next thing that I hope everyone knows when watching this video, but if not, you will learn it now, do not feed dairy to rabbits. Rabbits are herbivores, which means they do not eat anything that comes from an animal or that is an animal. So basically, milk, yogurt, cheese, anything like that is not something a rabbit can eat. Why? Their digestive systems basically are built to only support plant-like matter. So grasses, sticks, bark, veggies, things like that. If you throw something in there that rabbits were not meant to eat, like dairy, meat, cheese, yogurt, that stuff, their gut literally doesn't have the capability to digest things like that. Yes, some rabbits can eat small quantities and they're not gonna die or whatever, but just because a rabbit ate like a yogurt drop once and was fine, does not mean that you should be feeding it to your bunny. Their GI system cannot tolerate things like that. So especially if you're feeding them often or even once in a while, that is not okay. You should only be feeding foods that your rabbit is supposed to be eating and that their gut has the capability to digest. So no more yogurt drops, no more cheese, no more milk. I really hope you guys aren't feeding that anyways, but you never really know. I've basically heard people say they give their rabbits pizza before, so I feel like I have to cover everything. Next is basically do not feed any treats sold in an average pet store. I know that's a very bold statement to say. There are potentially maybe 1 or 2 treats that could be safe. However, 99% of the treats sold in Petco or PetSmart are not going to be safe for your bunny. They're gonna be processed, they're gonna be unsafe ingredients. I don't know, like I see so much crap in pet stores, like seed cluster things. Like, no, rabbits don't eat those. Don't feed those. Or like some treats that could be like considered safe by some people that I would never feed is like dyed treats. Like sometimes they have fruit sold in pet stores, but they like food color it to make it like pretty. And I'm like, what? Like, no, don't do that. Yeah, I mean, there are a few select treats or brands that could potentially be safe, but for the most part, just avoid it. Do not go to a pet store to find a treat for your bunnies. There are a lot better options out there that I will get to in just a second. The next thing I am going to go over that isn't necessarily treats, but I feel like kind of molds into this category is supplements. So supplements are normally sold, in pet stores or even online for bunnies. And to be honest, most supplements are just marketing ploys. You may be surprised to hear this, especially because some of the companies out there selling these supplements tend to be considered good companies. However, just because a company is good or safe the majority of the time, doesn't mean that they're not out there to make money. And unfortunately, this is true, especially with Oxbow. Oxbow is a company that I would say does make fairly good products. I sell them in my shop. I think they're good. However, there's a whole other half of the company that I would never touch or ever feed to my bunnies. And to be honest, the more you dive deeper into companies like Oxbow or other companies out there that I'm not going to name, their whole basis around their company is to make money. It's true. It's their goal. So supplements is something that can bring in a lot of income to a company because one, it really taps into the responsible pet owner's insecurities. For example, the average good pet owner will be like, oh, I want to make sure my rabbit, has good gut health or has good fur and coat or has good urinary tract support. They want to do the best for their bunnies, and so this company provides a product that they feel would sell very well and would be repeatedly bought. Same whole thought process goes into pellets and why pellets are so, profitable. I know this is a bold statement and there are gonna be people out there who do feed supplements and think it's fine. However, I personally, the more I look into it, the more it's just a huge marketing ploy. If your rabbit is fed a 100% natural diet that they require, link in the iCard again to my diet video. If you're feeding a proper diet for your rabbit, they should not need supplements. They should be getting all of the nutrients they need, all of, their fur and coat should be fine because they're getting the appropriate food they need. Basically, if your rabbit's getting everything they need from their diet, supplements are not necessary. Now, the reason I am so passionate about not feeding supplements is for a variety of reasons. One, all supplements are processed. Processed, again, is going to slow down the GI gut and cause potential to cause, more harm than good. The second thing is, the average rabbit may tolerate it fine. However, there are bunnies out there that, because it's processed and because there are a lot of unknown or weird ingredients in supplements, it causes the potential to cause more harm than good. I have personal experience with this. I used to feed urinary supplements to my bunnies because my rabbits were prone to urinary tract infections and I thought it was a good idea. Basically, I did start feeding a different supplement. I think it was a digestive support one, and my previous rabbit Mocha, got extremely sick from it. Thankfully, it was nothing life-threatening, but it did cause about, a $200 vet bill. He ended up getting actually sick with a urinary tract infection from the digestive support tablet. And I know people are gonna be like, oh, how do you know that? I feel like I could get into my whole processed food history with rabbits if that's something you're interested in. But I had several instances in the past with my bunnies where they had really bad urinary issues from processed food, and supplements was one of them. The reason I am so hesitant to ever recommend supplements is because you don't know what's in them and you don't know what is going to cause issues with your bunnies. I was feeding those supplements for no reason. My rabbits were completely healthy and they ended up causing them to become sick. Why would you ever feed something that is processed and has the potential to cause harm when there is no medical reason to do so? The only time you should ever feed a supplement is if it's been prescribed to you by a veterinarian. Okay, didn't know how to say that. The only time you should ever feed a supplement to your bunny is if it's been prescribed to you by a rabbit-savvy veterinarian. Honestly, the only time I've ever heard of a rabbit recommend a supplement is for a glucosamine supplement, which is basically a supplement that helps with arthritis. Glucosamine is a joint support type thing. Even in that situation, I would strongly recommend only going with what your vet recommends you feed to your bunny. And me personally, if I was recommended to feed a glucosamine supplement, I would do my best to find the most natural, most limited ingredient supplement out there. I would not just go to, the easiest supplement I can find on the market, because most likely it's not gonna be the healthiest. I feel like the whole supplement category is gonna be a little bit controversial. That's my opinion. Those are the reasons I don't feed them. So yeah, let's just go ahead and move on to the next subject. So if rabbits shouldn't be feeding all of the things I just talked about, what is safe to feed them? Like, what is out there? What can I feed them as treats? Is there anything I can feed them as treats? Well, you've come to the right place. Why am I so weird? Okay, so the most easy and most simple thing to feed to your bunny is 100% fresh produce, such as fresh fruits or fresh veggies. I will have a link to the House Rabbit Society where they have a list of safe leafy veggies, which is what you give them for their diet. They also have a safe list of non-leafy veggies, which is like carrots, things like that. And then they also have a list of safe fruits you can give your bunnies. Don't feed anything that's not on that list. A thing to note about fresh fruit is that you should only be giving 1 teaspoon for every 2 pounds of body weight per day to your bunny, or you should only be feeding 1 tablespoon for every 2 pounds of body weight of non-leafy veggies, such as like carrots. That is all listed in the link in the description as well. They go over like the amounts and what is safe for your bunnies. So definitely highly recommend, reading that over. Fresh fruits that I normally give my bunnies are bananas, simply because rabbits go crazy for bananas and they love them. And to be fair, I don't keep fresh produce in my house. And bananas last really well because I don't eat them and my rabbits eat them. Well, I mean, I eat them. The one thing to note about fruits is there are fruits that are safe for bunnies but do have very high acidity, and because of that you want to just be careful on how much you feed of very acidic fruits. Almost all fruits are acidic, but some fruits such as like apples and other fruits tend to be more acidic, and there is some research out there to show that really acidic fruits can cause tooth damage to the tooth enamel, I believe. I don't know how strong that research is, or like, you know, how much you'd actually have to feed to see that damage, but you know, just be careful. Obviously, if you're feeding the proper amounts, I honestly don't think that's gonna happen because, you know, that is a very small amount. However, I tend to not even feed as much as they say you can feed to a bunny. I tend to, you know, feed as little fruits as possible, just because, again, fruit is safe for bunnies, but it is very high in sugar, and sugar has the potential to upset the GI tract. It's not gonna harm it in small quantities, but if you were to feed large quantities of very sugary things, that is something that can cause, you know, GI issues and lead to stasis, or in the chance your rabbit is already in stasis. There used to be a myth out there that pineapple juice was good for stasis, and honestly, a lot of people still believe that. However, it's actually been proven recently that sugar and fruit, when your rabbit is in stasis, actually has the potential to cause more harm than good. Because you are feeding, you know, something so sugary, it actually can cause your rabbit to go deeper into stasis, then bring them out of it. And the enzymes in pineapple that they claimed helped with GI stasis was actually proven not to be true. Yeah, I don't know why I went into that, but whatever. The next option you can do if you are like me and you do not keep fresh produce in your house is you can feed freeze-dried or dried fruit to your bunny. The one thing you need to make sure is that it is 100% fruit and it doesn't have any sugars, oils, preservatives, anything like that in it. A lot of the times, freeze-dried or dried fruit sold for humans has a lot of those, you know, sugars, preservatives, oils, things like that. So there are a couple ones out there sold for humans that don't, but you just want to be very careful and read the ingredients. Otherwise, there are ones sold specifically for small pets. I have recently started selling these on my shop. These are the Oxbow Simple Rewards strawberry treats. They are literally freeze-dried strawberries, nothing else. So 100% fruit, totally safe for bunnies. Obviously feed within the appropriate amounts. The one thing you want to know about dried fruit is that during the drying process, I don't know how much during the freeze drying process, but specifically through dried fruit, the fruit does shrink, which means even though, you know, the recommended is 1 teaspoon for every 2 pounds of body weight, when that fruit is dried, it is smaller, but it still has the same sugar quantity in it. So that doesn't mean you can feed more of it. It means you should be feeding less of it. So just keep an eye on that, specifically with dried fruit. Don't feed as much as you could with fresh fruit. So these are the Simple Rewards banana ones. And personally, for the bigger pieces, like this, like I break them in half. Like this was a big piece of banana and I break it up and feed it, just because I don't think they need that much sugar. So those are a really good option if you're like me and you don't have fresh produce in your house. And they're really simple just to keep in the bunny room. Grab a treat, give it to them. I give treats about once a day to make sure they're eating and everything like that. So yeah, good option to have. Oh, another option is there are like 100% dried carrots. My rabbits love those. So that's another option as well. I wouldn't really feed any other dried vegetables really. I mean, I guess if they were on the safe veggie list, it would probably be fine if it was just 100% veggies. For the most part, honestly, carrots are the only like non-leafy veggie that I ever give as treats. So the next treat you can give is 100% dried herbs. So I do sell these on my shop. These are what I sell. This is 100% rose petals, 100% organic rose petals. And this is organic lavender flowers. So I do sell other herbs too. I have dandelion leaves and chamomile. I just don't have them at my house. And I think we're sold out of chamomile currently as I'm filming this. So anyways, one thing you need to know about herbs that I saw some people on my last video kind of commenting about is some people were like, oh, can I make my own? And they were wondering if they could just buy some roses and dry them. However, I need to warn you guys that this can be very, very dangerous. Roses especially are very hard to grow and have them turn out pretty and things like that. So because of that, almost all roses that are grown for like normal people are filled with chemicals and a bunch of nasty things. The reason for that is just they're really hard to grow without chemicals. So almost every rose you're gonna find is gonna be filled with chemicals. So you need to make sure what you are feeding is 100% organic because of the high levels of chemicals and nastiness that's going to be in there. That could be very, very toxic to your bunny. So you need to be very careful on what you're feeding. All the herbs in my shop are 100% safe, 100% organic, 100% edible to your bunny. However, I cannot personally say whatever you guys find in your stores is going to be safe. So you just need to be very careful on what you are feeding, how it was grown, things like that. So these are 100% organic, so I do feed these to my bunnies. You can feed about a tablespoon for every 2 pounds of body weight to your bunny for herbs. And herbs are super fun because they can be super good foraging items. I don't know what you'd call them. But basically you can sprinkle them around your rabbit room and your rabbit can like go around and search for them, which is really brings out that natural foraging instinct in bunnies. Another thing you can do is use foraging toys such as the hide and seek mat by Oxbow. I do have that on my online shop as well. It's a really fun toy for them to search for herbs, and I like using herbs rather than treats with foraging toys just because they can eat a lot more of them without, like if you just sprinkled a bunch of like sugary treats in there, not sugary treats, but like, strawberries or something, that's gonna have a lot of sugar content in it. So I think herbs are, something you can feed in a little bit of a larger quantity without that huge sugar content. So yeah, herbs are a really good option and my rabbits love them. It's gonna depend on the bunny on what herbs they like and don't like. My rabbits like all the herbs I sell. I sell, the dandelion, lavender, chamomile, rose. Every rabbit's gonna be different, but the next option is treat hay. So you may be like, why would I feed hay as a treat? Like that's their diet. Yes, it is part of their diet. However, you can feed different types of hay and it can be almost like a treat to your bunny because it's new and it tastes good. So the only hay that I have currently, I'm so low on rabbit supplies right now. I really need to go stock up, but this is the only treat hay I have currently. It's just the Western Timothy stacks, but they sell the Western Timothy stacks with chamomile in them, which is more of like a treat hay. I also sell a ton of different hay varieties on my shop. So basically any hay that isn't your rabbit's main source of hay can be a treat hay. So oat hay, meadow hay, mountain grass, botanical hay, like there's a bunch of them. So you can go on my shop, I'll have everything linked below and you can, look for some fun treat hay. Another thing you can do is sprinkle herbs on top of the treat hay to make it even more exciting and fun. So that's a really good option as well for your bunny as a treat. The next thing that you could potentially feed as treats to your bunnies is sticks. Now I know this sounds really weird, but my rabbits go crazy over certain types of sticks. But for example, here they really like fresh willow toys. So like this is a willow candy cane that I have from Christmas, but I found it in my closet and it's like all chewed up. They really, really love these and they go crazy over things like that. They also really, really enjoy other fresh sticks such as like fresh apple sticks and whatever is in here. This is the nibble sticks variety pack. I do sell this on my shop. I do think they're currently sold out, but hopefully, we do have them back in stock soon. My rabbits go insane over these. They literally chew all the bark off of them and they love them. Another option is fresh willow. You can get it off of willow trees. Make sure that it is from a natural area and not in town. If the willow tree is in town, even if you don't spray, around the willow tree, your neighbor 2 doors down could be spraying their lawn with chemicals or pesticides and that stuff can fly through the air, land on the tree. So it's best to only use willow or willow trees that are like more in the wilderness, if that makes sense, because then they haven't been sprayed or anything like that. But my rabbits love fresh willow. They also really love dried willow leaves. There's a couple places online that do sell them. I would love to sell them in my shop eventually if I could find someone who has, a bunch of dried willow leaves. But yeah, my rabbits go insane over those things. So that's a really good option as well. Really natural, super safe. As far as like how much you could feed of like willow leaves, I do not know of a place online that really has any sources on like how much is safe, but I would just go with the general rule that you use for like dried herbs. So like a tablespoon for every 2 pounds of body weight should be a pretty good guideline. But yeah, So yeah, that's basically it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed, learned something new. Leave in the comments down below what your rabbit's all-time favorite treat is. My rabbits are probably bananas, which is probably gonna be most rabbits' favorite treats. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to check out the links down below for the information on, safe feeding guidelines and safe different fruits and veggies. Also, I will have linked down below all the products that I showed in this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys very soon on a new video. Bye!